Welcome, everybody, to Dumb Guy Live, episode 27. It's Dumb Guy Live. It's
Yeah,
Pete, and it's Jamie.
episode 27. My God,
Can't
how are
believe
we
it.
already?
I
How are we already
know.
at
It's crazy.
27?
Murph, unfortunately, everybody, could not make it. He is part of the Ron DeSantis presidential candidacy marketing campaign. Um, and as such, he could not be here tonight. I'm sure you guys saw the announcements. Oh, this is good. Smart guys live. This is good.
Yeah. Oh, I wonder if that guy's here. the,
Yeah,
the
that was
guy
pretty
who,
funny.
yeah.
There was a tweet. I don't know if you guys saw it. If you Ibu of WrestlePurist backup Hangman complimented us today, which was very kind of him. And then one of the replies was very funny. He was like, "Never tuned in because the name was a bit of a turnoff." I was like,
thought, thought we were
"All
actually just
right,
fucking stupid.
yeah, we're just like literally stupid dipshits
Yeah.
who come on here and talk wrestling. I mean, we're not that far off, I guess, but
Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, that's right. The spirit of Murph is here. IDEK, you are so right. Yeah. So I'm glad you guys are here. Jamie, how's your week over the last week been? How's it going,
Yeah,
bruv?
my week's been pretty good. There's been a few good wrestling shows to get into, which we'll talk about in a minute. And yeah, I'm fired up, ready to get into some best of the Super Juniors action, some Resurgence, bit of Hana Kimura talk, of course. And
Mhm.
yeah, should be a good show.
Yeah, I think the plan is we're going to start with
Mhm.
Resurgence, big show, obviously,
Mhm.
notable stuff, lots of notable stuff on that show. Going to give you guys the best of the Super Juniors update, talk about some of the best matches over the last week. We know who are going to be the finalists for the A block already at this point. We'll
Mhm.
know at this time, 12 hours from now, who the other representatives will be. I believe we'll know, like, the tournament's over this time next week, right? Right, Jamie?
Yeah. It's,
Um,
it's kind of flew
so,
by.
which it's great. It's literally been a 2.5 week tournament, which is pretty remarkable. Um, so we'll obviously have full reactions there. And then we're gonna mention there's a Stardom pay-per-view next weekend, World of
Mhm.
Stardom Championship match. I do know that there is the World of Stardom and Wonder of Stardom match between Tam Nakano and Mina Shirakawa. So we'll talk about that match. And then we're gonna spend a decent chunk of time on the not just the Hana Kimura Memorial Show today, Pinks, but also
Mhm.
Hana Kimura herself and her legacy and her career and life as a wrestler. So lots of cool stuff, lots of fun stuff that we're really excited to talk about. So let's get into it, shall we? We're
Let's,
going to
let's,
start things
fucking, let's
off.
fucking
Let's
do it.
do it. Let's fucking do it, lad. We're going to start with New Japan Resurgence. This
Mhm.
was from San Jose. Is that where it was from? Where is it
I
from?
believe so.
Los Angeles? Yeah.
Yeah, I think.
Long Beach, yeah, Los Angeles, Long Beach, yeah. Walter Pyramid, of course. Um, Couple pre-show stuff. Don't need to talk about that. We're
Mhm.
just going to go down the card. We'll talk about. There's a couple sort of matches that we can kind of spend not that much time on, and then we'll get into
Mhm.
the title implication stuff as we go. But opener started off with a bit of an upset. I thought the CMLL team of Barbaro Cavernario and Virus defeated the TMDK team of Zack Sabre Jr. and Bad Dude Tito. I thought I'm a huge fan of both of these CMLL guys. Tito's been
Mhm.
kind of a protected guy, so I was surprised to see him lose this match. But to me, I would be thrilled if either Cavernario or Virus got a New Japan World Television Championship match.
Oh yeah, and it seems like this isn't the end for these two teams. I think Zack
Mhm.
Sabre Jr. after the match mentioned about he's never performed in Arena Mexico, so
Mm.
that's certainly something I'd be interested in seeing. But yeah, I thought it was a great show, and when this match was happening, I was tuned in to the late night grin. I was watching Joe, and a few others react to this match, and a few of them hadn't really seen what Barbaro Cavernario was all about, and
Oh,
the
he's
gimmick kind of
great.
got him. And I love him. Yeah, he's great. He's like a proper throwback him. He's just a caveman. That's
He's
barbaric
literally just a
caveman, I believe.
caveman.
Yeah, and yeah, it was great. So I'd definitely like to see a bit more out of those two teams, mixing it up, and that especially that Barbaro Cavernario versus Zack Sabre Jr. match. I think that's the one that I'd be most interested in seeing.
If you guys haven't seen it, go back a few years. I want to say 2018. Cavernario had a spectacular singles match in Arena Mexico against Ray Phoenix during Phoenix's short-lived CMLL stint. Just unbelievable stuff they were doing in that match. Crazy high-flying, death-defying stunts, all that type of stuff. It was just a great match. And Cavernario, he's been kind of injured off and on, and I believe he's a student as well, which is very funny because he's like a caveman. But he hasn't gotten that like big top end push quite yet in CMLL, but he easily has the talent to make that. And then for people, I think probably most people had never seen a Virus match before, I would say. He's an older guy. His big gimmick is like two things. Number one, he's an absolutely preposterous submission specialist. He's very reminiscent of like a Hechicero or a Negro Navarro, right? People like that who are just it's very like sort of gauche, I think, to say like the Yave style or whatever, but it's true, it's accurate in his sense. And he's also very small. He's like 5'2".
Yeah,
He's
that was
sort of
very noticeable.
between the the standard weight and sort of the minis. He's wrestled minis matches before in Mexico, so I think that allows him to stand out too. But either of those guys in a New Japan TV title match against Sabre, I think would be great. So yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's move on to okay, I think what we'll do is we'll just talk about the whole tournament as a whole right here, the mini tournament for the women's title. So the first match in the tournament, by the way, they switched around the order. They moved this match back one, I think, to wait for some people to file in, because this was originally scheduled to be the opener. But it was Mercedes Moné defeating Stephanie Vaquer of CMLL by pinfall. This match I thought was excellent. Just Mercedes, it's like I don't know what else to say other than the like somehow, some way, the idea of Sasha Banks outside of WWE, that pipe dream that I think so many wrestling fans believed in, it's lived up to expectations. Like, and the expectations are so sky high, right? Everybody, it was literally fantasy booking, and he's going up against Vaquer, who if you're like a freak, you've seen, like I've seen, because I'm an Ice Ribbon and CMLL fan, but like most people had never laid eyes on this girl, right? And she comes out and she wrestles one of the best American women's matches of the year against Mercedes Moné in a semifinal match on a New Japan Pro Wrestling show. I think this knocked it out of the park, even exceeded my own high expectations. Jamie, what'd you think?
Yeah, just pretty much everything you said there. It was like perfect showcase for anyone who hadn't seen Stephanie Vaquer, which was like you said, the majority of people. Monty, God bless, he thought it was Steph Delander, which was hilarious.
He was like, she's garbage. I was like, what?
he's like not seeing the matches in the group chat. I was like, she's bad. We were all like, what? But no, yeah, it was perfect. It was like super fast paced, super hard hitting. I saw lots of people who obviously like were unfamiliar with Stephanie Vaquer before this match, and they kind of expected this to be, not the longest match, almost a bit of a squash match, because they didn't really know what her level was.
It's a complete unknown. I don't even know if she's ever wrestled in America before, to be honest.
We were talking about it last week, weren't we? There hasn't really been like a luchadora really break into like really stand out in America, at least not that I can think of. So I think in terms of like getting that exposure out there, I think she made a lot of new fans. And then obviously Mercedes is, we talk about her all the time. She's the best American women's wrestler ever. And like you said, this run she's been on, nobody thought she was going to wrestle Stephanie Vaquer. I think I mentioned that one as well last week. It's like the triple threat. We're getting matches as well that they just weren't ever like conceivable, and it's just really cool.
I loved this. I couldn't be happier with Mercedes' run so far, except for, of course, the result in the main event, which we'll get to. But in the meantime, Willow Nightingale versus Momo Kogo. This was another match. This blew away my expectations for this one. I think Kogo, I'm a huge fan of Kogo just personally as a wrestler. I think she's just insanely likable. Just kind of quirky personality, character-wise, right? But she's never been pushed to any real level in her career. and she came out here and had a really nice back and forth match with Willow. The final 2 or 3 minutes was just them exchanging, signature moves and big time shots to get big 2 counts, and it was entertaining start to finish.
Yeah, I love this match. Like you said, she's not. She's one of the lower end of Stardom's roster. It was kind of like quite shocking to see her in the spot at all when it was announced. It was kind of like, with the other 3 in there who were all pretty reasonably pushed or well protected. Obviously, Mercedes to like the highest extent, but because she doesn't really get that chance to really stand out in Stardom, because she gets tagged in and she takes a lot of the offense. It's like Waka Tsukiyama. We've said it a few times. She's not had the chance to show everything she can do, and I feel like in this match it was way more back and forth than I thought it'd be, and she just really stood out. I think Willow Nightingale is one of the most likable personalities in wrestling, and this crowd were super behind Momo Kogo, just as much all the way. And I think that really shows how much she showed out in this one.
IDEK points out this was Momo's comeback match after her injury. She's been out for a couple months, so yeah, I mean, this Stardom roster is just so incredibly stacked. I keep throwing up IDEK messages, but they keep making good insights here. All right, so yeah, it's I thought both of these semis matches exceeded expectations. And they got plenty of time, right? It was like 12 minutes and 9 minutes, which is exactly what you need for semis matches if you're saving stuff for the main event, right? So yeah, everything's great. So let's talk about the main event then. Of course, Mercedes versus Willow coming in. They start hot, they start strong. It's the main event. These women, right? I think it's very special that women are main eventing a New Japan Pro Wrestling show. 2 black women, not to mention. I thought that was so special to see them coming out here, and the match was still getting underway. It felt like they had a lot more to go. I actually have a little bit of insight into this, believe it or not. They were supposed to go over 20, and they did not. Unfortunately, Mercedes hurt her ankle on gosh, what was the spot, Jamie?
She was like, I can't remember whether she's just on the apron or the top rope, but she kind of falls to the outside. And I think it's like very noticeable that she takes a bad lander. She doesn't put much weight on that foot at all from that point onwards.
So then, they sort of she sort of tries to shake it off a bit, right? It's not like she's immediately, go home or whatever. They kind of wrestle back and forth a bit. Willow hits a power bomb, and Mercedes is telling the ref essentially, "Hey, it's over. Just pin me." The ref doesn't count 3 because that's not the planned finish, and I'm sure there was some sort of communication barrier there. But then Willow goes back, hits the move again. 1, 2, 3. Willow is the inaugural New Japan Strong Women's Champion. Such a disappointing ending to number one. It should have been a fantastic match. I mean, Willow, it has just her stock has skyrocketed over the last year. She had a great she was in that great hardcore match earlier in the year on AEW on Rampage, I think, right? There's I think Anna Jay was in it, Ty was in it, right? I don't remember who her partner was, but yeah, she was a part of that. And of course it's Mercedes. This belt was literally made for her. It's objectively true. If there is any doubt at all whether this was the plan or whether Willow was supposed to win anyway or anything, it's false. This belt was created for Mercedes to carry, to extend her New Japan deal in America. It's just really disappointing that it had to end this way. However, we don't know the extent or the severity of the injury quite yet. She's, it's Mercedes, so she keeps it pretty close to the chest. But yeah, Jamie, I don't know. It's just very disappointing that it had to happen this way. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, it's such a shame because that match, the way it was going, it was trending towards something really incredible. It had a similar with the dynamic between the two of them, and the fact that it was, like you said, two black women main event in a New Japan show is totally unprecedented, right? And it's a really special moment. It was trending towards something of the level of Sasha Banks versus Bianca Belair, that kind of special feeling towards it. And it was was going to be a spectacular main event. And like you said, it was going to get that time to really, hit that level. And it's such a shame that it ended in the way it did. And obviously, we don't know, like you said, how long she's going to be out for. I think it'll depend on. I'm not sure yet whether we've had confirmation whether it's like a foot injury or an ankle. I think a foot would be more severe. An ankle would depend on the specifics of it, but that could be anything from like a few weeks to like a good few months. A foot would be like the rest of the year, which would be obviously quite devastating. And obviously, like Forbidden Door, people have been speculating that she could be on that show. That might be out of the question now, which would be a great shame because obviously I'm not sure whether we'll get her in AEW otherwise. But yeah, besides the unfortunate injury, it's despite the way it came around, it's a great moment for Willow, and she deserves it. She's been like ready for a while now. I've been waiting for AEW or Ring of Honor to do a little bit more with her. I thought she could have been maybe the one to beat Jade Cargill at one point. I think she's still around that level where she can absolutely do it. Athena as well. I think she could be, a real challenger for that ROH Women's title. But I hope now that they obviously it wasn't the plan. I hope they give her, a decent reign until we eventually loop back to the rematch, which I imagine we'll get, where Mercedes will get the title that was obviously made for her.
Yeah. So after the match, they do the finish, and Willow's like, "Holy shit! I'm the fucking New Japan Strong Women's Champion, and I just pinned Mercedes Moné." She's doing her best to keep the positivity up with the post-match promo, but you could tell it wasn't intended. It wasn't quite right? So I felt really bad for her, but at the same time, she is a champion in New Japan Pro Wrestling right now, which I would imagine she never thought she would be. So there's a little bit of happiness and beauty in that. So we are going to be patiently and anxiously awaiting Mercedes' return to the ring because she's just been so great. She hasn't held anything back, and that's when you don't hold anything back, sometimes you get injured in pro wrestling. So that's how it goes. But there was a lot left to talk about on this show. After we had those semifinal matches, we got into a hardcore match, a street fight between Juice Robinson and Fred Rosser. This match went 23 minutes, Jamie-san. This match was long as fuck. This was I believe this would have been the longest match on the show, even if the main event had gotten there full time. It was so long. Fred Rosser as the babyface just like beat on Juice the entire match.
Yeah,
There's a lot of plunder.
It was really weird.
It was like 15 straight minutes. they're like throwing mini muffins. This was wild. And then Tony Storm, as expected. The story coming in, it was very funny. Fred Rosser is a gay man, and he was like, "Doesn't matter if I'm gay, I'm gonna fuck your wife." to Juice Robinson, and he came in and he did. So did you? So there's been a little bit of like hashtag discourse about the Tony Storm stuff. Like, what do you make of it? She came in, she gets involved, she helps Juice get the upper hand. Rosser does come back and get the upper hand at all, and the spot is essentially he like kisses her, right? Because that's like the story they were telling. Do you have any thoughts on this, Jamie?
No,
I don't mean to put you on the spot.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really know what the right kind of stance to take on that is. So, if they're both kind of like fine with the spot, I'm not here to say it's wrong what they did or whatever. I don't know what the like. What they were doing. It was the match was just like a weird kind of dynamic to it. Like you said, like Rosser kind of healed it up a little bit.
See that it felt to me like a heel turn. And I know he had some words on English commentary as well. We were watching the Japanese feed, but he definitely said some like heelish stuff on English commentary too as he was walking out.
Yeah, it was a strange one, and then like with the comments he's made, and then Tony Storm coming out to help her partner. It was like a really weird dynamic, especially with like both of them being big heels in AEW at least. But it went really long. It's just carnage the whole match. But it's an interesting one for sure.
The other thing that I was thinking about with this is, and this is just me speculating, but I wonder if Tony Storm was supposed to like confront Mercedes after after the win and be like, you know, the first challenger or something like that. That would be a big high profile match.
Oh yeah,
For
that could have been
that
the
title.
setup for a Forbidden Door or something like that. That's probably
Yeah,
the spot for
absolutely.
that.
Yep.
Yeah.
I was also thinking that maybe there was somebody else from Stars there. Like it was weird that Momo Kogo was there alone. Like they usually, when especially New Japan and Stardom send
Mhm.
wrestlers to America, it's usually the whole stable, right? Or a
Yeah.
good portion of it. And so it was weird that Momo was essentially here alone. So I was wondering if there was maybe a Stars wrestler backstage or something that would have been the next challenger. But
Mhm.
yeah, I thought this match was like not that good. It was like okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fred Rosser seems to be. Does he seem to be on the way out?
He could be
You
on the
know.
way out. He could be on the way out. It's possible. He was earmarked for a WWE return at one point before the hiring freeze. We know that. So
Mhm.
we'll see. We'll see what happens there.
Yeah.
Another match that happened was Kenta versus Hikuleo. This match was literally nothing except they went to the outside. They were outside for like a year before the refs started counting, and then they climb up like a decent ways up a balcony, um, and then Kenta just like throws him off and puts him through the table. By the way, that table stopped nothing.
Oh, yeah.
Hikuleo,
Oh, yeah.
that looked so bad. That poor man, that poor giant man. So at least that was like a spectacular spot, and then Kenta just won by count out. So he won the title back via countdown. Yeah, Icon has really does not want us to go more than a minute talking about this.
Yeah.
He's been insistent on that. So
There's nothing to say other than like the match. The entire match was the build up to that spot. The spot was
yeah.
cool. That was it. But
So
yeah.
Kenta's the champion again, I guess. Like I don't know what the
Yeah.
deal was. I don't really
Maybe
know what the
Hikuleo
deal
was
was.
also on his way
That
out.
was another thought too, right? He
He
might
was
be
one
on his
that
way
they
out.
mentioned in the hiring freeze and stuff. With
After the show,
Tama.
Tamatanga tweeted something along the lines of like, "We'll see you next time" or something like that, and it was sort of the implication that they were gone. Oh no, he's like, "I'll see you in New York," right? Something like that.
Mhm.
Yeah, so we'll see there. Okay, I think we got a couple great matches here to close out the show before we got the unfortunate ending in the main event. Six-man tag action. The Blackpool Combat Club, John Moxley, Shota Umino, and Wheeler Yuta defeated Chaos, Kazuchika Okada, Tomohiro Ishii, and Rocky Romero, 2/3 of the never open weight six-man tag champs. That ostensibly sets up the Dominion match. I thought this match was
Mhm.
great. Just back and forth stuff, and the interactions between Moxley and Ishii were great, I thought, as well as Moxley and Okada. Pretty much anything Moxley does is great. But yeah, this was great.
Yeah, they're just like the perfect preview for that Dominion
Mhm.
match. Obviously with Tanahashi out for Rocky Romero, and you know I think we both love Rocky Romero. We obviously kind of wanted him in Best of Super Juniors, but him not being in there freed them up for this, and I think he delivered in the spot. And yeah, Moxley, it appears like they're setting up possibly Okada for Forbidden Door, which would be, you know, pretty
Mhm.
huge, especially with it seeming like we're also getting uh, Osprey versus Omega, which is obviously we'll get to that one. But yeah, just super hard hitting back and forth. I thought Shota Umino really stood out as well. He was just kind of like another big standout win for him. He obviously got the pin with
Mhm.
the Death Rider, and yeah, it just you know sets up that Dominion match pretty nicely, and looking forward to that one.
This a couple things I want to talk about in the meantime. There was a couple like segments that weren't matches. Kyle Fletcher came out alone.
Mhm.
He was not dressed to wrestle. Unfortunately, had to make the announcement that his tag partner in Aussie Open, Mark Davis, has a knee injury, and they are forced to vacate the tag title. Both sets of tag titles. They were both the Strong and IWGP tag team champions. So that's disappointing. They won't be on Dominion. They won't be on Forbidden Door. I guess as a team, Kyle Fletcher obviously still could, and I think New Japan sees big things for him, so they still
Yeah.
obviously could do that. But pretty disappointing to see. They've been maybe the best tag team in the world this year, so
Mhm.
that always stinks.
Yeah, it's a big shame. They like so deserve that moment, getting not one but two of New Japan's tag titles.
Mhm.
It felt like a long time coming. To see it end in this way is really disappointing. I've seen I'm by no means a medical expert, but it doesn't seem like
Yeah, it was
Davis will
just
be out too long.
arthroscopic procedure, a scope.
Mhm.
So hopefully 6
Yeah.
weeks to 2 months is the
Mhm.
range.
Yeah, which I think if Dominion and Forbidden Door were like in this period, they could maneuver around it. But with those two big shows coming up,
Yeah.
they couldn't go those two shows without the
If this injury
tag
happens
title.
in September, October, it feels like it's possible, but no, you
Yeah,
can't not have IWGP, or especially when you're double champs. So yeah, and then the replacement match is fucking Bishamon, which are a good team, but it's like, okay, we get it.
yeah,
And
we've seen it a lot.
and House of Torture, Evil and Yujiro. What? Like what?
Not even Show, who's
Not even
like good
Show.
when he's not
Like, why didn't they should have done
around.
Evil and Show, the best friends. They're like so
Yeah,
happy together. They're like, but then they have tension. That would have been way more interesting. Fucking Yujiro, dude. That's great. Is that match for Dominion?
yeah.
Oh
Well,
my
that was meant
god.
to be the triple threat, right? They should throw like
Yujiro in a fucking title match at Dominion in 2023 as part of House of Torture.
yeah, who can they throw it? Is it? I don't think they will. But if they threw another team in, to keep it a triple threat, who could they throw in? Like who's around?
Probably like
TMDK maybe.
yeah, TMDK would be fine. They could do like Okan and Hinare. You could
Yeah,
do right. Just grab an AW team. Set up
yeah.
something, right? Just like who cares? Fucking House of Torture. Ugh, gross. That sucks. Fucking hate House of Torture. And then the other thing, who came out and challenged Kenta after that match? I completely forgot.
Eddie
Um,
Kingston.
Eddie Kingston, that's right. There was a video for Eddie Kingston. Kenta
Mhm.
versus Eddie. That's a very exciting match. One of the more exciting New Japan Strong title matches we've had in a while. So looking forward to that. Kingston is the type of wrestler who matches up with Kenta at this stage in his career.
Mhm.
So should be great.
Oh yeah, Kingston's like kind of a early 2000s Noah
Hmm.
influence is like the most apparent thing in the world. So mixing it up with Kenta. Obviously, Kenta's not by any means what he was, but it's still a cool match to see on paper. So hopefully it at least lives up to expectations a little bit.
Yep, looking forward to that one quite a bit. Last match to talk about on this one. This was the semifinal match to determine the number one
Mhm.
in this mini tournament to determine the number one contender for the IWGP US Heavyweight Championship. Will Ospreay, in his return from injury, defeated Hiroshi Tanahashi. Match went like 16 minutes. It was not that long of a
Mhm.
match. I thought this match was great. I thought this was the match of the night. Um, I think Osprey is so fucking good. I know that's like a hot take, right? Tanahashi's pretty good. Yeah, I know it's like crazy to think about, but um man, for such like a short match by their standards, I thought this was just so much fun. And I am really excited for Osprey versus Archer as well,
Mhm.
which is a match we haven't seen in a while because obviously Archer came back to the States and signed with AEW. And so um, they had a spectacular match in 2019 in the G1. And I think Osprey is better now than he was then. So this should be great too. And hopefully it sets up Omega versus Osprey too.
Oh yeah, can you imagine if Archer won? I love
Lance
Archer.
oh my God, they'd boo him out of the building.
the big Forbidden Door match. AEW versus AEW.
AEW, yeah, Forbidden Door. That's pretty
Yeah.
funny.
But yeah, no, I love this match. I think the only thing that kind of dragged it down was a bit, I think it was noticeable that both of them are like very hurt. I think
Yeah.
Osprey seemed at least towards the end of the match to be a bit hurt. He's obviously he wrestles every match like 100, gives 110%, and he wrestles all these different. He's not just doing the New Japan schedule, right? He's wrestling all sorts of indie shows and
Mhm.
across the UK and stuff. He does a lot. And then Tanahashi, he's getting on a bit. But he's still putting out these performances. So it's he's one of the best to ever do it. But it's noticeable that he's feeling a little bit of pain in there. He's not exactly moving like he was a few years back. But no, I thought besides that the match was excellent. I loved the towards the closing stretch when Osprey's setting up for the hidden blade, and I don't love the New Japan Strong production team as a whole, but I thought there was an excellent camera shot where
Mhm.
Tanner's like on his knees and he's kind of like looking at the camera, and it's and then you just see Ospreay appear behind him, and then he nails him with that hidden blade, and then gets him with a Stormbreaker. And I thought that was an excellent finish. And yeah, like you said, sets up the Dominion match, which I think you mentioned it last week, that they have excellent chemistry together. We've seen that one, seen them mix it up before, and yeah, it's pretty much a foregone conclusion that Ospreay will be winning, and we'll finally get that rematch for what is probably the match of the year so far. There aren't many other candidates that have hit that level, and that's gonna be something special.
I'm so stoked. I'm glad that we're getting it, and it's crazy. Like I would have been. Because I think we kind of know that Ospreay Omega is coming even before the result of this match. Like, right? There's just so much big stuff coming up between Forbidden Door and All In and All Out, of course, and get into the G1, and there's Wrestle Kingdom next year. They can always run it back. So I think we all knew it. I would have been completely fine with Tanahashi winning this match too, right? Like because Omega Tanahashi, I mean that's a Wrestle Kingdom main event. So yeah, good stuff. But yes, Ospreay versus Omega 2 is coming back, and we are thrilled.
As someone that's got tickets for All In, I was part of me that was kind of hoping that Tana won, so we kind of prolong this a little bit because I want to see that Ospreay match. I mean, they could still I don't know, they could do a third one. It'd be 1-1 if Ospreay wins, which I think he will. They could still do that. It could absolutely main event. So I'll still hold out for it. But whoever Ospreay works at All In and whoever Kenny works at All In, they're like two, if not the two best wrestlers in the world. So, I'm here for it either way. But the fact that we're getting that match the fact that we're seemingly getting that match not too far away, that's excellent.
All right, New Japan Resurgence. I think it's thumbs up for both of us. Really, it was just Mercedes' injury. I thought everything else. I mean, the Kenta and Hikuleo match was nothing, but we knew it was going to be nothing, right? So that was kind of that. But I mean, all the stuff that really mattered was excellent, and so there was some underrated undercard stuff like that opener. So yeah, good times all around for New Japan Resurgence. All right, let's talk best of the Super Juniors, shall we? Switch gears a little bit, come back to Japan, in New Japan. Let's do it. Let's cross that Pacific Ocean. So the way things stand now, we know the semifinalists for Block A. They will be Mike Bailey and Titan. Now, I don't know if you recall, Jamie, 2 weeks ago, when we were talking about who's going to win this tournament. And I said Mike Bailey. And Murph scoffed at me. And he made fun of me. And he was like, there's no chance. There's no way. And then he was like, he's going 4-5. He won the block. He went 7-2. He had 14 points. What? So anyway.
Not only did he win the block, but he's like arguably like one of the MVPs of the whole thing as well.
He's the MVP of the tournament so far.
Yeah, he's been excellent.
Anyway, I just had to point that out. Murph is wrong a lot.
Yeah. Who was Murph's pick? I don't remember who Murph's pick was.
Did Murph say Ishimori?
Oh, that's unfortunate.
He might have. Yeah, I don't think Ishimori's happening.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can't remember now. Was it Desperado, or did you say Desperado?
I mentioned him. My pick was Akira, who's unfortunately now out of contention.
Yeah. You may have said Desperado. Maybe one of our fans remembers. Maybe somebody, if you guys remember in the comments, let us know. But regardless, yes, Mike Bailey and Titan. Have you been able to watch today's show yet, Jamie?
Yeah, I've been kind of skimming through Best of the Super Junior. I've been watching like the big recommended matches and stuff like that, because there's a lot, right? I'll catch up with everything eventually, but I've seen everything that's been talked about a lot.
Okay, so let's go in reverse here. Let's talk about all the notable stuff that that's happened over the last week, and I have to remember what matches those are. Okay, so on the 17th, last Wednesday, main event was Desperado versus Yo. I thought this match was so entertaining. Desperado in these main events has been so compelling to me. Like, he really, I think, finally has established himself as one of the premier guys in the division. If he's probably just second to Hiromu, right? And he comes across, he has just unmatched like swagger and confidence and self-assuredness in there, no matter who he's up against. And it's led to matches with some really compelling dynamics, in my opinion. I think this match with Yo is a great example of it, and I think just a couple days ago against Akira was yet another example of it. But Yo, it's like it's like the younger guys really do have something to prove against Desperado. They're demanding more out of him. They're demanding the passion. The story a little bit is that he's not in Suzuki-gun anymore. So he's lost a bit of that edge. He's more of a babyface wrestler now than he was, and people are sort of calling him out on that. And I think this match with Yo was really entertaining with a good dynamic there.
Yeah, you kind of hit everything that I was about to say there. I've loved Desperado. He was my wrestler of the week this week when we did the votes, because I think
that's a good shout.
He had a few really standout performances. This one included. The one with Akira is the one that I think is obviously the one that everyone will talk about. But yeah, I really like this position he's going in. I've mentioned a few times that, and like you said with Hiromu, he's one of those guys now that I think, well, besides Best of the Super Juniors, he's kind of done everything there is to do, right? So he's kind of like the guy that all these guys are trying to beat. And yeah, I thought it was just a really fun dynamic. And yeah, I just love Desperado in this tournament. I think he's one that could absolutely win. He's obviously positioned in a way where that's like very viable now. And if that's the case, then I think, you know, once he's done that, that's it. I think let's move him up to heavyweight, because I'd like to see him mix it up with a few other guys.
I thought Hiromu had a couple more great matches over the last week in consecutive nights. First against Kushida on day 6, and then against TJP on day 7. I thought it was just great, fast-paced, hard-hitting, little bit of technical in there, especially considering the opponent's stuff. And Hiromu, consistently in his block alongside Bailey, has really brought the best out of his opponents, I think. And of course, it helps to get the hype card placements. But I'm sad that he's done. Like, Hiromu's tournament is done. He didn't make the semis in his block.
Yeah, it was very, very shocking to see as well. He's obviously won the last 3, right? So I'm not by any means like sad that he's not made the semis, because it kind of keeps it, you know, exciting and fresh. We've got new faces in there. But yeah, it's tournaments come to a close, and like you said, whenever I do the match ratings and stuff, and whenever I look back, the Hiromu matches are always consistently one of the best, if not the best, on the show. And those 2 that you mentioned there were you know, no exceptions to that. He's excellent. We've talked about it a ton, and yeah, he brings out the best. Kushida, by the way, has had a really weird tournament. Whilst we were on him, he's like, you know, come back in after his after ages. He's kind of done like, I don't know. I he might have been Murph's pick to win, actually, now that I think about it. Murph might have gone with Kushida, which has obviously not happened at all. But yeah, it's a weird one. He's not had the best performance.
This tournament this year, and we'll get into the standings in a little bit. I guess we'll just get into it now. We've talked about all the notable stuff, I think, over the last week. Has been, I think, like wildly unpredictable at times, just in how some of the results have gone. If you just go back, I think, and again, this is the first Best of the Super Juniors with crowds, with cheer crowds since 2019. 2019 had some interesting results because they were going with the Shingo streak, obviously, and then they had people like Narita and Doki and Taka, and Tiger Mask, all of whom were pretty much portrayed as jobbers in the tournament, right? Everything went kind of as chalk. And then you go previous years. I mean, the points ranges in 2018, it's the block winners all had 10, and the block last place finishers all had 6. Same in block B in 2017, the winner had 8 and the last place had 6, right? So the same thing happened in 2016 as well. So the ranges on these points is getting kind of wild, I think, this year. And I think really some of the losing records are pretty shocking, with Taguchi going 1-8. I don't think anybody thought he was going to be like a contender, but 1-8's like big. This might be his last tournament ever. Kushida 2-7 is shocking. I mean, he challenged for the Impact World title a month ago, and he's consistently, before he went to WWE, he was probably number 2 to Hiromu in the division, right? So for him to go 2-7 is really shocking to me. Bringing in Dan Maloney, usually when you bring somebody in as an outsider, especially a UK guy, and you put him in a stable, you do better than 3-6. Titan is somebody who I think is really talented, but has never been pushed to any consistent extent in New Japan. He's a semifinalist in his block. Now, maybe I think there's an outside chance that slot was supposed to go to Ishimori. But still, I mean, even if that's the case, he still would have finished either with 10 or 12 points, which is a winning record in an insanely competitive block. Kevin Knight, I kind of called him going 3-6, but it's a little bit odd to see a champion with such a clear losing record, right? And then it's just been really, and then Bushi 1-8, like it's just, you don't see people who are in their primes, which Bushi maybe tail end, but he's not that old, going 1-8 in a tournament.
Yeah,
right?
it's like, but with Taguchi, like you said, it's kind of understandable because this is maybe like, he's been around for a while. This could be his last tournament. Bushi, it's just kind of like, I don't know. Maybe they just don't see him as that kind of guy anymore.
I mean, he's done nothing of note in the tournament, as far as I'm concerned. I've watched all of his matches, and what is there with Bushi? You know what I mean?
There's nothing really to. Yeah, when I like I said, I've been kind of skimming through, and I've not really been seeking out the Bushi matches, to be honest. Those haven't really been, hitting the heights. But...
So that is. So you know what I think? I think that. I wonder if Ishimori was supposed to be in the semis. Now that I mentioned that, because I feel like, but he wouldn't have eliminated Hiromu on the second to last night, right? Because that's what that would have been. He would have been, But then if Hiromu beats Titan on the last night, then he's in the semis, right? So I think that may have been the plan.
Yeah,
I think that now that I think about it, but luckily the math worked out, and they don't have to. They can scramble and do whatever. Unless Ishimori was supposed to win the whole thing, I don't think there's any harm, any foul in it. Aside from, of course, the injury being bad for him. Cervical vertebrae injury. That's bad, dude. That's bad stuff.
Yeah, it sounds rough, but yeah.
So obviously we're wishing for a speedy recovery from Ishimori. I was so disappointed that it happened in the Hiromu match because they have just incredible chemistry. So I was looking forward
to it was one of them that I was really looking forward to. We've talked about it a few times. That title match is like super underrated. It was like one of the best junior title matches in a while. So it was good to see them not be able to, put out something of a similar level. But yeah, besides the standings, there were two matches that I wanted to quickly touch on before we.
Yes, please do.
Yeah, the Akira versus Desperado match we never really properly got into.
I watched that right before I pressed play on this and sent you the StreamYard. I just watched it.
That's my match of the tournament so far. I love this match. It's excellent. Like you mentioned, it's Desperado being the guy that the younger crop are looking to like stand up to and make a name for themselves. And there's one bit where Akira's kind of like laying into Desperado, and he's just kind of taking them. And Akira's screaming like, "Show me something!" Or something like
"Show me something!"
Yeah, and then Desperado nails him and like knocks him out of the ring, and he showed them. And and then obviously like the whole closing stretch, he's got him in the numero doses that he calls it, the submission, and he has it in for a long time, and he keeps mixing it up. And he's like, Akira's not giving up, man. He refuses. At one point, TJP's on the apron. He goes to throw in the towel. He kind of teases it for a bit, and then he does. Desperado catches it, and then Akira takes it out of his hand, throws it out the ring. He's still going, but obviously, it's he didn't have enough to keep going. Desperado puts him away with the submission, but it was just like it was a real star-making performance for Akira. He was someone obviously I picked him to win, maybe more out of hope than actual like what was actually going to happen. But I think he's a guy that will be there. Give him another year or so. He's so good. I think he's another really underrated guy, and I think he can be a real player in the junior scene, especially if like guys like Hiromu and Desperado aren't going to be at the top of that, maybe moving to heavyweights and stuff. So yeah, that was a great performance. And then
out of anybody in the tournament, this is the guy who I would pick to to be the next junior guy after
Mhm.
Hiromu and Desperado. Like, it's got to be him. Like, he's special. He is. There are not many wrestlers who I think can sort of take up the mantle of the next Osprey, but
Mhm.
I mean, he doesn't just look like him. He's not just in the same stable as him. He wrestles like Will Ospreay does. He
Mhm.
wrestles like heavyweight Ospreay as a junior, essentially, with the hard hitting stuff. It's really great. You will not find a bigger Akira fan than me. I was such a supporter of him when he was in All Japan. He was one of the few. There was only like 7 or 8 non-Japanese wrestlers who stayed in Japan over the
Mhm.
pandemic, and he was one of them. So he's taken his lumps in the freaking All Japan dojo, wrestling like Koji Iwamoto and Shima in there a little bit of Dantamar, a little bit of Hikaru Sato, and yeah, I'm just so happy that he's getting these opportunities. He's part of a big stable, and he got a Korakuen main event that a lot of people say is the match of the tournament. So really happy for Akira. I like the sound of this from Laz here, seeing Kevin Knight as a good rival for Akira with his
Mhm.
athletic ability. Absolutely could see that happening. I mean, they're two of the best athletes in the division, best young athletes in wrestling as a whole, I'd say. So, was there one more you wanted to talk about?
Yeah, just the another I think like match of the tournament contender was Mike Bailey versus Leo Rush from today. Obviously a semi-final decider, but two guys who have been like two of like maybe the top 3 standout guys in the
Mm-hmm.
whole thing, alongside probably Hiromu on their side, and just like incredible, like super high paced action. There's one bit where they're kind of like chasing each other outside the ring, but not in kind of like a comedic way, or just like really creative maneuvering around the ring.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, Leo Rush is kind of like the best guy for that. The way he moves around the ring is incredible, and against a super hard hitting. I love Bailey's style with his kicks, and he finds creative ways to hit his offense. And yeah, just like two Gaijins we've brought in for this tournament that have absolutely delivered. Two people I'd love to see stick around. I don't really know what Leo Rush's like contract situation is or whatever, whether he's like with New Japan for the long term or whatever, but I'd absolutely love to see it. And then Bailey is a guy. I need amount of impact immediately, unless they're going to like strap him up and run with him. But even then, I'm not really watching Impact too much. So he belongs. He belongs. He
Mm-hmm.
feels like he belongs there. They both do. And
Yeah,
this is an excellent match. And obviously, Mike Bailey gets the win with his what's the name? Is it like the flamingo driver or
the
whatever he calls it?
flamingo driver.
That's the one. I love that
It's
move.
pretty. It's pretty
It's a
nasty.
yeah. It's a is big special finisher. And yeah, just another like excellent match. But up there with I'd say the Desperado Akira match, and then the first Speedball versus Hiromu. I think those are the 3 that really jump
Mm-hmm.
out to me as like the matches of the tournament.
So as we get into Block B, I don't know how the scenarios all shake out, but Eagles versus Desperado, I feel like is the main event tomorrow, um, or
Hmm.
tonight rather, and
Yeah.
I feel like Eagles is going to win it. I think Desperado's not making the semis.
Mm.
Um, I feel like they love doing stuff like that. I could be wrong. Maybe they just like keeping it dramatic for that final night. And then
Hmm.
the other contenders are Yo and Wado. Is up against Yo's up against Kanemaru. I feel like they're going to give Kanemaru the win here to get to 3 wins and knock
Hmm.
out Yo, and then Wado is taking on Kevin Knight, who has not been pushed to any extent. His only wins are against Bushi and Maloney uh, in this tournament. I guess he has one more, and against Kanemaru. So the other 3 people who are really low in the standings are the only people he's beaten in this tournament. I feel like Wado, and then the winner of that Desperado Eagles match. And I'm kind of leaning towards Eagles. I don't know, but I guess we'll see.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think I'm probably more on the side of Desperado.
Hmm.
Just because, like I said, it's the one thing he hasn't done, and I feel like he's on the verge of moving up possibly. So, but yeah, it wouldn't shock me too much to see Eagles get the win there. Like you said, maybe they just want to keep it close. But I think Watto's a real contender for the whole thing.
Mhm.
So I think he's pretty nailed on to make it.
So after Murph gaslit me into not believing in Mike Bailey, my backup prediction was Master Watto, who I
Hmm.
think will end up winning the block. That makes me feel so happy. Just to get the two
Mhm.
block winners. Just I don't want to celebrate before it happens, but if that ends up being the case, it will be the way it shakes out. Like if Watto's in it, and I think both of us think he will be, he will have
Mhm.
won the block. Or I guess did he beat Desperado? No, so if
Uh,
Desperado wins, he wins the block.
yeah.
And so it'll be Desperado versus Titan, and then Mike Bailey versus Master Watto. If it's Eagles and Watto, then it'll be Watto versus Titan in the semis, and
Mhm.
Mike Bailey versus Robbie Eagles. I tell you what, the Desperado matchup makes more sense to me. So maybe it does end up being Desperado, but we'll see. And it could just be whatever happens, happens.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that's the mess of the Super Juniors update. I've been
Mhm.
enjoying the tournament. It hasn't been a blowaway incredible tournament in my opinion, but
Mhm.
the Korakuen shows were both great, and there's
Mhm.
been some good main events in there as well that I've enjoyed so far. But I'm looking
Yeah.
forward to these semis and finals.
Yeah, it's had its like peaks and troughs, right? I think day one was a really hot start, and then day two was kind of like the opposite,
Hmm.
kind of like not the hottest crowd and not the biggest like main events or anything. But like you said, there's been big shows. I think today's one had some great matches, and those Korakuen shows that you said have already delivered. So it's been I think it's been a success. It's flown by, like we said before, and
Yeah.
a lot of notable matches in there. So it's been fun. Hopefully the last day and then the semi-finals and finals can keep that going and deliver some really big matches.
I will say, disappointingly, and I guess this is probably my biggest criticism of the tournament, there are
Mm.
4 wrestlers in this field, a full 20% of the field, that I just don't know how you could care about them right
Mhm.
now. And then those are Show. Clark Connors, unfortunately, has been kind of nothing. He's doing the Bullet
Mm.
Club stuff, in my opinion. Maybe people disagree. I could be, off base there, but he just hasn't like the Bullet Club stuff is not why I like Clark Connors as a
Yeah.
wrestler. Um, Maloney, I think, has shown very little. The Eagles match was his best match, I thought, the other day, but even then, nowhere near the other
Mm.
wrestlers' peak in these tournament. And just Bushi is just nothing right now.
Yeah.
So when you have a lot of wrestlers, including 3 that are in the same block who are like that, I think it does take a little bit of the shine away.
Yeah, I think Maloney. I think last week I kind of took the stance that I was, he's been okay, but now that his kind of blocks, nearing its end, he's not really impressed too much at all, which is
Mhm,
a shame. And like you said, there were a few other guys in Rev Pro who could have maybe had that spot.
mhm.
Um, the one guy you mentioned, and he's probably the one that's like overall most unlikable at the moment. But shows runs kind of pop me a little bit. the way that the way that they've done some of it has made me laugh a little bit with Evil, and there was one from was it? I can't remember whether it was today or tomorrow. I get it all mixed up. It was his match with Doki. I can't remember whether that's.
Mhm.
I think that was from today's show, and he does the thing that he kind of do with Hiromu, where he's obviously like he's taking him out backstage, and then before Doki comes out, he goes to the back and he drags out Ryohei Oiwa in a Doki mask, and he's like, "I've got him! I'm gonna," and he throws him in the
That's
ring.
pretty good.
And
I
he,
like that. I'm down with
yeah,
that.
and he like announces like, "Okay," he does the ring announcer thing. He's like, "Announce the match is starting." He rings the bell. He gets in and pins him. The match from there kind of goes. Evil comes out and there's all the usual House of Torture thing, but that spot, and there's been a few of those. The bit where Evil was like a ref, like the lights went off and he
Yeah,
appeared.
evil.
That popped me a
Evil
bit.
has. I can't like. Evil's been all right for me.
Yeah,
Evil's wrestled more than like Taguchi in this tournament.
yeah. He's been who knew the Evil's best performance in recent memory of being the best in the Super Juniors.
I think you would probably get about 50,000 to 1 odds at your nearest sports book that Evil's most enjoyed performance since the heel turn is in the best of the Super Juniors tournament. I think that's very funny.
They, they,
But
they
yeah,
both just have like amazing facial expressions.
yeah.
Like, I
This
love
is
it.
this is the kicker. The Dominion. We were like, fuck, it's fucking House of Torture.
Yeah, yeah. When you
Yeah.
get that Yujiro match, it's like, oh fuck.
Well, it's good. They're better as like being kind of bumbling, in my
Mhm.
opinion, right? Like Show is really good at being kind of like kind of like a loser, right?
Yeah.
Like he's like an idiot. He spends so much time. He has this like perfect sculpted physique, and he's like an incredible athlete. And he's like, but I'm gonna cheat. Like it's stupid. And then he gets his best friend Evil, who's to come out to and just like he can't when it's like he he pinned Shingo Takagi clean like a couple of years ago. So yeah,
they absolutely need to be they need to just play up the comedic side of it. You know, when they're being serious but still doing all the shenanigans. That's when it gets unbearable.
Yeah,
but,
it's so much more bearable in the best of Super Juniors than it is in the G1. Like in the G1, I'm like, just fuck off, Evil. Like God, it's the G1. So all right, one final thing I wanted to mention before we move on, the Hiromu Kushida match, where they wrestled outside was very fun to me. I love it when they do fun stuff like that in these tournaments. The tournaments are always the point in New Japan's schedule where they let wrestlers kind of experiment a little bit, do things outside of their normal. So we get to throw in the towel stuff, TJP coming out to be like the second in there. And just this random show, Hiromu and Kushida decided to go wrestle in the grass for a little bit, and they came back in, and it was all business from there. So yeah, it was a ton of fun. Okay, Jamie, let's talk about the Hana Kimura Memorial Show. I'm going to turn it over to you for now. We'll just go in order on the card, starting with Sori Ano versus Miyuki Takase, a former Actress Girls Championship match.
Okay, so first of all, before I get into the matches, for anyone who was watching the show, I imagine everyone's experienced a similar issue. The fight broadcast was just fucking awful. Like about an hour and a half of the show was a slideshow presentation, and it absolutely was not on the end of the people in the people at the venue filming, because the Japanese stream, I can't remember what the site is, like Ticket or whatever it is.
Yeah, Ticket.
That was perfectly fine. I managed to switch over to that just before the fight fixed itself, which is typical. But it's like so this Soriano match and the Battle Royal that came after, and a little bit of the match that came afterwards, I haven't been able to see fully yet, which is a shame, because
that's so
by all accounts that Ano vs Takase match was incredible. I've heard reviews of people who have been able to see it. The action that I saw looked good, which it was a shame. It was like teasing me. It was like, oh, here's what you could be watching if it worked. But I'm looking forward to looping back to that one in the next day or so. And Ano picked up the win with a nice pin that she does. I don't know exactly if it's got a name, but she kind of loops over the back and gets the feet on, and it's
the Battle Royal. I'm obviously not much to report here, but I was like, this is my yearly favorite Battle Royal. Like, this is fine by me. It's wrestlers. It's a mix of wrestlers that Hana Kimura loved as like a fan. Like, she was a big Super Delphin fan, right? All these like Basara guys that she knew through wrestling, some Wrestle One dudes, and some comedy people, and some current like stars in Joshi as well, with Chihiro Hashimoto and Hanako Nakamori and all that. So that's always a good time. And some legends. Jaguar Yokota won the whole thing. Kyoko Inoue was in there as well. And then we were thinking X was going to be Kyoko Kimura. I don't think anybody figured X would be Minoru Suzuki taking on Kyusei Hana Kimura. Obviously, Sakura Hirota in her best Hana Kimura impression. What's the report here?
Oh, these bits of the shows, the Hana Kimura bit that Sakura Hirota does now is one of my favorite things in wrestling all year. It's just like we've had some really special encounters with it, and like you said, no one expected Minoru Suzuki, but I don't think anyone was complaining. It was such a funny dynamic. There's parts where I don't speak Japanese or anything, but from what it sounded like, Minoru was kind of like phoning it in a little bit, and then Sakura Hirota was like, "Come on, I can take it. I'm Hana Kimura," and then he just fucking nails it. It's like, it's just such an incredible dynamic. It's like I love these bits, and he gets her in. He goes for the pile driver, and she just taps out before he can nail it. And
that's so good. I love that.
Amazing. It's always one of the most. it's what these shows are all about. Obviously, it's like, incredibly tragic circumstances that we have to have these shows in the first place, and they're always, they're difficult watches in parts, but they're just, some of the most fun as well, in wrestling all year. And that was what this was. It's just good fun.
Minoru Suzuki wrestled a 6-man tag on Kyoko Kimura's retirement show, and he was obviously a big part of it. He teamed with Aja Kong and Meiko Satomura against Hana Kimura and Kyoko, along with Isao, in Kyoko's retirement show. So a little bit of history here between Minoru Suzuki and Hana Kimura. It's just such an inspired choice. Like, again, I don't think anybody thought it was going to be him. But once he comes on, it's like, of course it's him. Like, it's so perfect to put him up against Sakura Hirota, right? Yeah, I just love it. Like, for the second straight year, the dynamic is they've taken some big star in Japanese wrestling, some no-nonsense guy who's like a shooter who will kill you, and they put him up against some comedy geek, and it's just great. Both times last year we got Kano versus Black Mensoure, which was great as well. So, yeah. All right. 4-way tag match following this one.
Yeah, forgive me, I don't have the full card up, so I don't remember.
Yeah, I'll just read it out real quick. Minoru Tanaka and Kengo. And then it was Seigo Tachibana and Mayumi Ozaki, Yuko Miyamoto versus and Ram Kaicho, and Sonoko Kato and Ryo Mizunami. So Oz Academy people, some 666 people, and some like former Wrestle One people as well.
Yeah, it was just a fun time. I always get mixed up. Seigo Tachibana, I believe he's the guy who dresses up like Ichiban Kasuga from the Yakuza games.
Yep, so that's him. Yeah, he now goes by Masao Hanaba Take, but I can't bring myself to call him that. I think it's very goofy and dumb, but it's perfect for a show like this.
Yeah, I love the Yakuza games, so he like pops me so much. So I was looking forward to seeing him on this show, and he had some fun interactions with Ryo Mizunami. Obviously, the kind of theme in this match was like, it was called like, who is the biggest anarchy or something like that. So those two were obviously like a big part of this dynamic. And there's a fun bit where those two, and I can't remember who the third person was, they were all kind of like posing down, and Minoru Tanaka kind of like tries to get in on it, and they just ignore him. he's like pushing them, going, "Hey, look at me," and they just don't. It was a fun time. Ryo Mizunami and Sonoko Kato get the win. I think that's kind of fitting for the title of the match. I think if anyone other than Ryo Mizunami won this match, it would be there'd be outrage. But yeah, just a fun time. And then afterwards, Shotaro Ashino comes out. He was meant to be in this match. He got an injury, and he comes out. He's got the sunglasses, and he presents them to Seigo Tachibana and Ryo Mizunami. They all kind of pose off in the middle of the ring as a fun time.
Gungnir of Anarchy, in All Japan. Yes, the stable there. Shotaro Ashino was somebody who he's been on both Hana Kimura Memorial shows before. Obviously, the Wrestle One connection. It's pretty clear that he and Hana had some sort of friendship or connection there. So I was really glad that he was still able to come out and get a moment on this show, despite being injured. At really like the peak of his career, winning the Champion Carnival. Semi-main event. People are raving about these last two matches, Jamie.
Oh yeah. So we had a trios match. It was a bit of a Tokyo Cyber Squad reunion, which is always fun to see. It was Konami, the new Future of Stardom champion Rina, which is good to see her, keep that promise and arrive with the belt. And then before the show, it was announced that Kaori Oniyama could not compete, so there would be an X in this match. And I think a lot of people kind of knew straight away what was going on. X was Death Yama-san, so a big return for obviously the Tokyo Cyber Squad, and it's and then obviously they face off against a bit of an all-star team, a bit of Stardom, a bit of freelance. It was Shuri, Natsupoi, and Asuka Benny. That's another just great lineup. And yeah, this was just so fun. There's so many different like dynamics playing off and just mixing it up. Asuka is incredible. I want to see her mix it up with more Stardom people. Not to be the guy who's like, I want everyone in Stardom, but just like these matches that we get in these interactions, I want to see her mix it up with more of the best. we obviously get a Tokyo Cyber Squad full reunion at one point with Jungle Kyo, and it pops up, and that's always great. We always get a little moment like this. We had a similar Oedo Tai moment on a previous Hana show with Yu Ishino and Hazuki and Konami and stuff like that, and Kyoko. So we always get those little moments, and yeah, it's just really great. The big all-star team involving Asuka gets the win. And yeah, it's just a really fun time. Definitely one that you should seek out if you haven't been able to catch this show.
I'm curious because I have not been able to see the show yet. How did Rena look? It was so great when we saw the card announcement, and she's a big part of this match. Was she featured?
Yeah, she got a decent bit of offense in there. She had she's obviously very judo influence in a kind of style, as all three of the sisters are. She had a really great judo toss at one point. It looked great. She's really coming into her own.
Nice.
As a real player. Obviously now she got that belt, which is great to see. She obviously made that promise last year that she'd be back with a belt, so it was really nice. And yeah, it's just she's the wrestler in Stardom as most carried Hana with her since her passing. The whole move set is pretty much she wins her matches now with like the hydrangea and stuff.
Yep.
So it's always really nice to see her show out in these shows.
The main event, people are raving about even more. Like if the semi-main featured really good wrestling but also great moments, this main event was all about the wrestling with Aja Kong and Suri. That's so, I love saying that. Suri back in Japan defeating Mika Iwata and Mio Momono. This is an all-star of indie, lineup of indie Joshi wrestling in the 21st century. Obviously, Aja Kong comes from Gaia and All Japan Women and all that type of stuff. But since then, she's been all freelance all the time. And these are big names. Was the match as good as people are saying?
Oh yeah, again, just another one you absolutely got to seek out if you've not been able to catch this show. Mio Momono obviously recently captured the AAAW championship. Great lineage that title's got, obviously in is Gaia, right? I always get mixed up with that champion. Yeah, and yeah, so her in that match with Aja Kong, a former champion, that was an interesting dynamic. I think the one everyone's been talking about are the interactions between Sari and Mio Momono. That feels like that's got to be a title match that we're setting up at some point. I think that has the potential to be, one of the Joshi matches of the year, if not just one of the matches of the year in general. And yeah, it was just great, big, huge high angle suplexes and stuff that you'd expect out of these, really physical, just great performances for all four of them. It's like excellent. I love seeing Aja Kong in there, still go and put up these incredible matches. And yeah, just like perfect match to, cap off an incredible and fun show.
Who got the pin? What was the finish?
I believe it was Sari on Mika Iwata. I might have to go back and check. I'm not the best at remembering these things. I was just kind of enjoying the vibes. I don't remember exactly how it all ended, but I think it was Sari on Mika. I think it was Iwata who took the fall, definitely.
Sure. Awesome. Yeah, well, I'm planning on watching this show as soon as I can get a full stream of it uninterrupted. I will be watching it at that time. This is must watch. I'm very humbled that 2 years ago I was called on to review the show, do the live report for F4W, The Observer, for the first one. That meant a lot to be able to do that, and so I'm just very happy that this show exists. I'm not obviously under the circumstances, but considering where we are, right? I'm very happy that this show exists and has continued to operate every year. And the celebration just makes it. I love that Kyoko's always a part of the show in some way. She like her she's just she's waffling out there. She's like walking all over the ring and just like you always see her. And she's a very bright person as well, like with a very vivid personality and appearance. So seeing her out there too. And then Japanese professional wrestling in a lot of circumstances is a very segregated and partitioned community where you stick to your company, you stick to your people that you know, and you don't really go outside of that. And when you get a show with Jaguar Yokota and Minoru Suzuki and Shotaro Ashino and Ram Kaisho and Rina and Sari and Aja Kong and Munenori Sawa and all these different people, and you put them on the same card together. I think it shows how special Hana Kimura was and how much she meant to a lot of different people.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like wrestlers from all different corners of the the Puro scene coming together, and like you said, that just shows how much she was valued and loved in the scene. Before we kind of touch like more on Hannah herself, the closing bits of the show. Everyone from the previous match comes back out as well, from the trios match, and they bring in. They had like I think they've done this for a few of the shows now. They have like a mannequin with Hannah's one of Hannah's attires on with the pink hair, and they get her in the ring. They're all chanting for her, and then they cut to the the highlight package, kind of like they put on an emotional music. This is where I get a bit emotional as well. They play all the clips and stuff from times in different companies and stuff, and then we get the the clips of all different wrestlers that have appeared on the show and other ones that have wrestled with Hannah and been able to share the ring with her and stuff. Like Mercedes Moné was in there. We had the
oh really? I didn't. Yeah, that's so great.
Yeah, it's just great. Chris Wolf's always good seeing her.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, with the Thai connection.
Yeah,
and it's just really really nice. That was the bit I tried to keep it together, but those always they always get me, those bits.
Yeah. On the first one, when they had that video of, it was so many people. It was like, oh my god, like this person meant so much, from Kenny Omega to Cheeseburger, like just all the different people who had something to add and to reflect on. That's special.
Yeah, Cheeseburger made this one as well. I think EO was there, Kyrie, just a whole host of names from all different, like, everywhere that the Hannah wrestled, and like you said, it just shows again, how many people were kind of touched by, their experience with Hana Kimura, and it's just, they're just really special shows, man. I'm so happy. Obviously, it's like you said, it's very tragic that we have to do these in the first place, but I'm so happy that we get to celebrate her life in this way every year. And I thank Kyoko Kimura for putting together these shows, because she does an excellent job. And like you said, she's all over the shows. But it's just like it's just a really fun time. Like even like barring the circumstances and stuff, like just the cards themselves, they're always just really fun. So it's it's a special time.
I love professional wrestling because regardless of the circumstances, everybody's like, well, we got to put on a great show. You know what I mean? Like, it's a little bit facetious saying that, but it's also true, right? It feels like the more difficult the circumstances, oftentimes, the better the performances are, and the more inspired the booking and writing and creativity around putting the show together becomes. And I think that's very special, and I think that's very unique to pro wrestling, where I mean, it's one of the only art forms, mediums, where you can essentially, where people consistently pass on or move on in the midst of their primes or in the midst of their careers, because a wrestler's career can span 35 years reasonably, right? And so we have moments like this. We have moments like the Brody Lee celebration of life, the Jay Briscoe celebration of life, the Eddie Guerrero show, the Owen Hart remembrance, all this type of stuff. That it's obviously horrible that it takes these unthinkable circumstances to make things happen. But then it's like, okay, let's make up for it by putting on the best show possible.
Yeah,
and
everyone pulls together, and they always come together and put on something really special. And this is just another one of those. I again, just thank you to Kyoko for continually putting on these shows and allowing us to celebrate Hana Kimura.
All right. Anything else you want to add on Hana Kimura? I want to give you full chances to chat or talk or anything about this.
Yeah, just the thing that always gets me with Hana. Obviously, everyone always talks about, like, she was just her personality in general. As like you said, with the amount of people that appear on these shows, like you said, it's so evident how how she just touched so many different people's lives, and left a real positive impact and stuff. And just like whenever they were in America, I think it's always kind of it was very telling that even like they had some of the biggest stars go over there, and I think Hannah was always the most popular of the Stardom crop when they hit America. I think if she was still with us today, I think she'd have no problem. She could go anywhere, right? And she'd be like, she had everything. She was incredible in the ring and that star power. So I always think about it because obviously I'm a huge Stardom fan, and I've loved seeing the rise the company's been on in the last couple of years. They're now like the second biggest promotion in Japan. I'm behind only New Japan, and when I think about where they've come from in the last few years, Hana Kimura right now, if she was still with us, she would have been a world champion, or maybe would be right now. And
without a doubt, unquestionably,
she was on that trajectory. She obviously won the 5-star Grand Prix. Never won that title match, but obviously she was absolutely getting there. She was a faction leader, and just someone who was earmarked for so much success. And it's like it's the most unfortunate thing in the world that we never got to see that play out. And it's just a really heartbreaking situation. It always one of the toughest times for Joshi fans every year when we have to kind of relive the memories, but of course we celebrate the life. And it's just a great shame.
I'm not one on and that was well said. I'm not one to make like big sweeping statements. I think a lot of people, it's a good coping mechanism for people who followed her career to make big, some sort of, big statement or something like that around this time. And I get it. I get the motivation. That's not really my style personally. What I will say, if this will be the closest thing that I make to that, is I think her lasting legacy to me, I watched her, right? I became a Stardom fan in like mid 2018. So I saw like 2 years of her career. I saw her in Ring of Honor that year, kind of like you talked about. She came in and she wrestled a few Ring of Honor matches, and without a doubt, like she was immediately, and she's in there with Kagetsu, now Yu Ishino, and she's like completely overshadowing Yu Ishino in there, right?
Yeah,
and
that real charisma, right? She just kind of captured every audience she was in front of.
Yeah. And I don't think this is disrespectful to say this. She was incredibly beautiful, and I think that got people behind her and was like, wow, okay, this is a star right here, right? In what reminds me of Hana Kimura now is I still think, and I think there's probably an overarching thought that people have gotten away from this a little bit, but I disagree. And that is that I genuinely think that she has stopped countless people from sending that mean tweet, sending that mean comment, saying that mean thing. You don't see it because it's proving a negative, right? But I genuinely think that hundreds, if not thousands of comments that otherwise would have been said by people on Twitter just were never sent. Maybe they were thought, maybe you typed it out, and then when you're about to hit publish, you're like, that's horrible. Why would I say that? And I genuinely think that this has given people pause in how they treat people and how they conduct themselves and just how to go about life, right? It's very gauche to say that it's important to be kind. It's very sort of corny to a lot of people, but it's true. You have to be kind to people. And I think Hana Kimura has left that etched in a lot of people's hearts, and that means a lot. There's not much better of a legacy you can have.
Yeah, I think and I believe in the aftermath of her passing, the kind of like the laws and stuff behind that in Japan have changed and stuff. There's been kind of movement in making sure that situations like that don't happen again. It's obviously it's a difficult thing to prevent because of the way social media is and how easy it is to hit send on a tweet like that without thinking and stuff, and it's difficult to kind of police that and stuff. But absolutely, it's something you got to think about, and when you think about how stuff like that can affect someone who was, like we said, earmarked for so much success and loved by the community so much, for one. I'm off
You're
again.
good. You're good.
One sec. Give me a moment. I'll.
This wouldn't
Yeah.
happen if she didn't have a massive impact on people's heart.
Mhm.
And I think that's such an incredible point. She didn't just leave, the thought in the back of your head being like, hey, I need to be kind here. She left lasting, written in her country's bylaws, like legislation about how to conduct people. And it's obviously horrible that it had to come to that to make it be. But if she wasn't the popular and likable and beloved person that she was, this reaction wouldn't have happened. And I think that's the key point there. When you bring sunshine and brightness and happiness into the world, when that's taken away, it strikes people very deeply. And so okay, let's close it out there, Jamie. Let's switch gears a little bit. I'm so excited to watch this show. I'm so excited to see this show for the third straight year. This main event looks unbelievably incredible. I still haven't seen Sarie's return match. I just need to see it at some point. Yeah, you know me. I'm just busy right now. I'm a teacher. It's getting towards summer. I'm gonna get free time.
No real job out here,
I'm gonna get free time. I'm gonna watch some freaking wrestling. It's gonna be great. I'm gonna catch up on everything. But let's move on. Let's talk a little bit about Stardom, a little bit more before we head into Beast of the Week, and then we can close out this show. Jamie, Murph sent me his Beast of the Week, but I left my phone across the room, and I forgot what he told me. So I'm gonna go grab my phone. You start talking about this Stardom show, and then I'll be back in 2 seconds.
Okay, so we have another. Is that Big AO's profile picture? Is that a glitch on my end? But anyway, we have another Stardom pay-per-view, Flash and Champions. Last year, this show had.
Why am I AO?
I pointed that out and then realized that you'd just gone, and I was like, oh, I just have to,
I think it's because nobody tells StreamYard. Okay, guess what? We share an account so that we don't have to pay more money to do the StreamYard. And so when AO hosts on Purist, he turns his camera off, he wanted it to be that profile picture. So I guess that's why that is. Anyway, yeah, this is what I'm gonna do an impression, a little bit of something like that. He's kind of a fraud, you know what I mean? I don't know if he's really about that. I'm bald. All right, now we're back.
Yeah, that kind of that's a surprise. I thought you'd left for a minute, and I thought AO would come in.
AO would come in,
like it was like a planned bit. You'd like ambushed me with AO. I was like, whoa,
that'd be crazy. Could you imagine?
Yeah, I thought he was coming to expose the dumbness of Dumb Guy Live.
That was so good. So I don't know if you guys should, if you're watching this and you're able to check the Dumb Guy Live Twitter. I put into ChatGPT, I wanted them to book a 12-week storyline with all the contributors to Wrestle Purists. And this is such a fucking bar on ChatGPT's end, but they were like, week 3, Big AO comes out and he cuts a promo, says that he's going to expose the dumbness of Dumb Guy Live. That was completely AI generated, and my mind was one. I was like, that sounds so fucking fire. I want to see that right now. So, all right, go ahead, Jamie.
Yeah, so Flash and Champions, yet another Stardom pay-per-view. I mention this every time, but they do so many. It's kind of crazy, especially when you mix in the other big shows they do and stuff. So from the we'll go from the top, work way.
Yeah, we'll talk about the big stuff only, and then we'll get into to Beast of the Week.
Yeah, so the main event is a double title match. World of Stardom champion Tam Nakano and Wonder of Stardom champion Mina Shirakawa putting both their titles on the line. Obviously, a lot of history between those two as well. I think that these two have, are more than capable of putting on an amazing match. I just like the overriding feeling here is this is a time limit draw, and I think that's
it just feels like it'd be so weird if it was anything else. I don't know.
I would be shocked if it's anything other. Like, obviously, these two only just won their respective titles. So if they're you know, if they're moving towards merging those two titles or whatever. I don't know what the move is, but I think it's a time limit draw. I think Mirai.
I'm gonna say 94% chance it's a time limit draw or some other kind of draw. They could do like double KO. They could do kind of what Shuri and Utami did, right, where they go the 30 and then they extend the time a little bit. I'm gonna say like 5% chance. I think if anybody wins it, it'll be Mina, because she's just so hot right now, on top of the world, on fire. Like one of the in terms of just heat as a wrestler, more so than any Stardom wrestler I can remember in like the last year plus. And then tiny 1% chance that it's Tam, but yeah, some draw of some kind.
Yeah, and I think Mirai still hasn't done anything with the Cinderella thing, and I feel like it will be the white belt. So I can't see this title change, any of the titles changing hands here. But it should be a great match. We have a Artists of Stardom Championship match. Obviously, Restart, Natsupoi, Kairi, and Soriano defending the titles against the Donna Del Mondo team of Julia, Tekla, and Mai Sakurai. I believe this may maybe I'm forgetting a big match here. I don't think Kairi and Julia have interacted all that much since.
No, you're right. Yeah, now that I think about it,
that's a big one that we haven't got yet. I think that was pointed out in the press conference. They kind of faced off for the first time. But obviously that's a singles match that we could get down the road, and I think that'll will probably lead to that sort of following from this match. But it should be really great. I like everyone involved. Mai Sakurai has been improving a lot with this whole character she's got going.
I have not seen enough of it, but everything I'm seeing is like, oh my god, this chick's crazy. This is going to be just the dynamic of this one is going to be so much fun, regardless of. I would say there's like 4.5 really good wrestlers in this match too. The champs are stellar, so this should be a ton of fun.
Yeah, it's like Soriano and Julia mixing up as well. Yeah, that'll be fun. It's just like there's a lot of great interactions we could get from there. I don't think we're getting a title change. It's another one where that All-Star Grand Queendom show had so many title changes, but for the time being, I can't see many titles changing because it feels like they all just changed hands, right? But it should be really fun. We have an Artists of Stardom title match. The New Eras, Mirai and Ami Sourei defending against the Oedo Tai team of Momo Watanabe and Natsuko Tora. I love Momo Watanabe. She's like maybe my favorite in Stardom. So I always want to see her with a belt. I don't think she's winning this one again. Although saying that, obviously with Mirai's Cinderella thing,
right?
People are kind of expecting her to win maybe the white belt or something like that. So will she be a double champion when that happens? Ami Sourei obviously just lost the future title, so it'd be kind of a shame to see her drop yet another title because I think we're both higher on her than Mirai. So
yeah, I certainly am.
Yeah, it should be a fun tag.
It's really like the match. I love Momo too, but it's just like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. This one I think will be interesting. We have a high speed triple threat title match. I think this is the one where it's got to be.
Yeah, we were about to say the same thing. It's Saki time. It's finally her time.
It's Saki Kashima time. It's Azumi defending the title against Saki Kashima and Fukigen Death. She was just randomly thrown in there. She wasn't involved in like the promo or anything, but it's just randomly announced as a 3-way, which I'm fine with because I really like Kaori Oniyama, so it's fun seeing her in there. But obviously we had the singles title match, which I initially thought Saki was winning. Didn't happen. Then we got Mei Sarah, and I was like, she's winning. Didn't happen. So
this is it. I'm putting the gauntlet down. It's gonna be Saki Kashima.
Yeah, it's got to be. And yet, which we talked about it before. She's been there pretty much since the start. She obviously had a long break, but she's never had a singles title. She's had tag gold and artist stuff, but it's long overdue. She's one of my favorites. She's such a fun character and personality, and her dynamics with the people on the roster always pop.
Oh my god, Jamie, a super chat.
Yo,
our first one. I was like, woo! Thank you, Master84. $1.99 super chat. Eddie Kingston and Corkin will be a moment for me. Are you watching an hour behind, bro? I agree. This will be great. So that was the other thing that they announced was July 4th and 5th shows. but it's like New Japan Strong in Japan.
Yeah,
Is what
and
it
it's
is.
like
Yeah.
the show's like Independence Day, and it's
Yeah, Independence Day. They're like America and Corkin. It's going to be great.
Corkin.
But yeah, Eddie Kingston and Corkin Hall should be spectacular. I hope he's as over there as he is over here. Thank you for the super chat, Mavs Fan 84.
Oh yeah, much appreciated always. That's kind of it for like the major title matches. The only other big Stardom thing, I think someone mentioned it in the comments, is that
Yeah,
they're setting
Scarecrow
up this
did.
big
Oh,
4v4
wait.
match for a Korakuen show, which I believe is June 4th. So it's not within the next week, but it'll be the week after. But it's kind of weird that now we've got all the 4 of the faction leaders, Mayu, Shuri, Julia, and Tam. Julia and Tam, by the way, on the same team is kind of a wild dynamic.
Yeah.
And then on the other side, we have Maika and Suzu Suzuki, who are kind of the 2 big ones pushing for it. Suzu as well in this match is kind of crazy. She I know she's been around for a while, but she officially just got here.
Suzu and Maika are teaming on the pay-per-view, by the way. With Sarah against the Neo Stardom Army. So
yeah, I think we're slowly maneuvering towards Suzu and Donna Del Mondo, which I kind of predicted when she arrived. And then the other 2 in that match are Utami Hayashishita and Saya Kamitani, who have been not on the best of terms lately. So there's a lot of things that could be coming from this match. I think maybe there could be faction, Queen's Quest are on the ropes a little bit. Obviously, Suzu moving towards Donna Del Mondo. So that's definitely one to look for. But that's it from Stardom for me.
We got a $1.99 super chat from Mr. Helwani here, Ariel. Dumb Guy Live, the Major League of Wrestling podcast. It's true. We are the Major League of Wrestling podcasts. We're the only wrestling podcast in the world, now that I think about it.
Yeah.
Can you think of any others?
No, none come to mind. None come to mind.
I don't know. Okay, y'all. I think it's that time of the show. Everybody, it's the freaking time for the thing that I'm trying to pull. A Beast of the Week. Beast. That's me ripping a shirt off because I'm so swole. I can't rip this shirt's too nice. This shirt was like $45. I can't rip that off. I also like it. It's a good shirt. Anyway, it's that time. Beast of the Week. Jamie, kick us off. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna start with Murph because he's not here. His Beast of the Week is Hangman Page, and I don't know why. I don't know why it's Hangman Page. Did something happen on Dynamite or Rampage with him or something?
Is it because he's back with the Elite?
He's back with the Elite, I guess.
Reunited. Murph's got to pick AEW.
Yeah,
he's got to do an AEW pick because he wants a job.
Yeah, he wants a job. He's angling for that Will Washington job. He's angling for. He also hates CM Punk. So anytime you can gas up somebody who dislikes CM Punk, I guess that's fine by him. Jamie, who else you got?
My Beast of the Week is Francesco Akira for his performance against El Desperado. I mentioned that El Desperado was my wrestler of the week, but obviously that is not what Beast of the Week's all about. Francesco Akira had a real star-making performance, and he just showed out against Desperado. Obviously, one of the big players in the junior scene, proved that he's going to be, like we said, a real future star of that scene. And he just refused to give up, and it was a very beast performance. When you think about what that kind of encapsulates. So Francesco Akira, my Beast of the Week, did not win like I thought, but he did me proud.
Couple things really quickly. Laz pointed out Chris Brooks. For him, people are raving about the King of DDT final match. I need to see that tournament. A lot of people are behind that. So I'm looking forward to looking at that one. I didn't get a chance to watch it, unfortunately. I've been kind of tuned out of DDT recently, but I mean, just insanely high like cage match ratings and things like that. So looking forward to checking that one out. We also got a $4.99 super chat from Mario Judah. Muscle Man Jamie, my Beast of the Week. Strike a pose, Jamie. Show us them guns.
I'm not getting them out.
Yeah, all right. There we go. Yeah, woo. Yeah. That's attaboy. All right. Thank you, Mario. Excellent. Thank you so much for the super chat, Mario Judah. We appreciate it. Okay. My Beast of the Week is going to go to Aja Kong. I did not watch the show today, but from all intents and purposes, she turned back the clock. Everything I'm hearing, all reports are telling me that that's what she did. And I did see a clip of the post-match stuff where she's pointing at the sky and just being very reminiscent and very just being very gracious. She is literally the biggest star you can put in this situation, and it's not about her. It's about the person they're trying to celebrate. And not only that, I heard that she kicked some fucking ass in the main event too. Like, that kind of helps too. Like, she was a beast in that sense as well. So she's going to be mine. I think we should do a collective one every week. I like the vibes of that. I'm thinking Desperado for the collective one. I think Murph loves Desperado. I think he was obviously your wrestler of the week. Does that sound good to you?
I'm fine with El Desperado. Yeah, that's a perfectly fine pick.
So Hangman Page, Francesco Akira, Aja Kong, and El Desperado are beasts of the week. Before we go, we got $2.79 in Canadian money. We get that Canada money, sticky with maple syrup. Thank you, dumb guys. Hey, thank you, IDEK. We love that you tuned in. We love that all of you tuned in who are watching this. We're very appreciative of all of you. Thank you so much for listening to us, especially on a show without our third wheel here in Murph. But he will be back, I think, next week. Yes. Couple programming notes to look forward to. We have a busy June. 2 of us are going to be gone one of the Tuesdays in June, so we're going to record something. We're either going to do some kind of draft or we're going to do some retro review or something like that. So if you have any ideas like that you want us to watch something retro historical, or if you think there's a fun idea for a 90-minute segment that's kind of like timeless, that doesn't really fit into that week's news, let us know. We'd be happy to do that. Really quickly, we did get a $1.99 super chat from a signed AEW talent in Ricky Starks. What the fuck is going on? We need to stay past 8 p.m. all the time, because then people are like, or I guess 8 p.m. my time, it's other times. We need to stay past an hour and a half because that's when the super chats running, I guess.
One guy did the super chat and everyone remembered that you could do super chat.
Thank you, Massfan84. We love you for that. Ricky's beast of the week is Ibu Hart, my beast for life. You guys are so cute. I love that. I love that for you guys. And then, just for the hell of it, we got a $9.99 super chat from Rassel Haas. Okay, now this makes me feel bad because there's no comment to it, but I feel like he wanted there to be a comment to it. But the show's fucking over, so I don't want to like stay on and like, you know what? If Rassel Haas, let us know. We'll read it next week if you got something to say. But regardless, thank you so much for the $10 super chat. We appreciate it. We do gotta move Dumb Guy Live to primetime. Actually, we don't, because primetime for Jamie is 2 a.m. And that makes it kind of.
I would do it.
I'd do it for the fucking brand. My sleep schedule's fucked, mate.
Yeah, I'm up anyway. I'm an animal. I'll be up till 5 a.m. for no reason. I'm just
for no reason. Go to sleep. You wouldn't know what time I go to bed, Jamie? 10:45 p.m. That's what time I go to bed. But I'm also I'm an old man. So, we appreciate you, Razzle Haas. Thank you so much. Okay, we have gone 8 minutes over time. We appreciate all of you watching. We'll be back next week. We'll give you the report on the Stardom show. We'll give you the results for the best of the Super Juniors, which is going to be a lot of fun. So, exciting stuff to look forward to.
We were previewing Dominion as well, I believe.
Previewing Dominion. Yes. Might even touch on a little bit of Double or Nothing, because if considering Forbidden fucking Door is in a month, I would expect there to be some Japanese talents show up on Double or Nothing at some point. So that's going to do it for us. Thank you for listening. Stay dumb. We will see you all next week.